The next of our settings options is where we set up our weekly rules. So the weekly rules are similar to daily rules, whereas in the daily rules we had rate thresholds for overtime, ordinary time, etc., as we saw here. In the weekly rules, and we have some clients, for example, where the employee will only get paid overtime after so many hours in a week, whereas daily rules it gives you overtime hours per day, and you can have a combination. So we have got clients where after so many hours in a day they'll get overtime, but then there's a second layer of overtime thresholds which apply on a weekly basis. So we have to set up a weekly rule. So that weekly rule might be all ordinary time. So in this case we're saying no matter what the employee does, all 168 hours, because there's 168 hours in a week, will be at ordinary time, and that's the only threshold. So it doesn't matter what they do, we're not paying them any overtime ever. So you could have a daily rule that says it's all ordinary and a weekly rule that says it's all ordinary. The other scenario we've got here is we've got two thresholds. So we're saying that the first 40 hours is ordinary time, and then everything else after that is time and a half. But equally, I might have a situation where I could say I've got some double time, and we might say that after 8 hours of time and a half, then everything else goes to double time. And so what happens is that the hours will drop in here after they've reached the 40-hour threshold, then it drops into time and a half, then it drops into double, just as it does in the daily rule. So but you can, as I said, you can have a combination of both. So you have to have at least one daily rule, which is based on your employment agreement as to when the overtime kicks in. If it does, if it doesn't, you just make everything ordinary time.